You want to know a fundamental difference between geeks and all them sporty jock folk that used to give us wedgies and swirlies and beat us up when we were kids? Okay, that's grossly exaggerated, but still. The difference between jocks and geeks is that jocks had their sports and geeks had everything else. But you want to know a similarity between the two that's been arising lately? Ever since comic book movies became uber mainstream, and MCU, Marvel's big old box office busting records movies, ever since comic book movies became the biggest thing in the world, people have been doing what sports people usually do, which is fantasy league casting. Basically, it's what we already do. We just pick which actors we'd like to see in the roles, as opposed to the actors they pick. Some of them are good, some of them are bad, some of them are like, really? You want Tony Danza to play Doctor Strange? That's odd. Really? You're in favor of Whoopi Goldberg playing the Watcher. I mean, she did play God in a Muppets movie, so I guess that's not too far-fetched. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. As always, there's two people in this non-existent room. There's Lake 777.
Hello.
And then there's Demon Grocery Store over there.
God, I can't stop thinking about Whoopi Goldberg being the Watcher now. You put that idea in my head, Paul.
And you know what? It's not that far off the table, really. I think that aside from Stan Lee being the Watcher, which he totally will be, I think Whoopi Goldberg would make an excellent choice. I mean, think about it. Prominent black actors have always played good gods. Morgan Freeman. And yes, Whoopi Goldberg did play God in some kid's special that I don't remember because I pushed that memory out of my head because now she's on The View, and I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, I hear you, but I mean...
we're going away from daytime television.
What's your thoughts on this whole thing? Who the hell do you want to cast to be Marvel's new, rebooted, extra, uber new casts after they inevitably reboot again?
Yeah, no, we were thinking about this the other day, and it's just that I'm seeing that a lot on the interwebs, just people, because it's... Next week comes out Infinity War, and while it's not the last Marvel movie, it's the beginning of the end for a lot of actors,
It's the conflict that's been, it's the final battle that's been built up since Iron Man. So,
literally 10 years in the making and 18 movies in the making, or more than 18 at this point. I don't even know.
I don't know about 18,
Infinity
but
War will
Iron
be the
Man
19th.
came out in...
Oh.
Yeah, Iron Man came out in 2008, so... That would make it about 11 years. This whole thing was set up 11 years ago, essentially.
And it's the big payoff. I mean, it's confirmed that a lot of actors like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, maybe even Chris Hemsworth, all the Chris's, are pretty much going to be at the end of their contracts after this. And they're too expensive, especially like Downey, to keep around at this point. And, after 11 years, I think everybody, it's done. It's like, what's left for me to do? I'm getting old. I want to do other things. This was a huge part of my life, but it's time to move on. And, who can blame him? No actor in the history of acting, has done this kind of commitment to a franchise before. The closest would be...
You're going to want to backtrack on that, my friend. How long has Hugh Jackman been playing Wolverine?
I was going to say...
I know he just died, but come on, man. That dude's been playing that role for like 17 or 18 years.
Well, that's still Marvel, so I was just counting him in the same thing. It's Fox Marvel, but I think, come on,
Lewis, that's not the same. That's not the same thing, and you know it. That was X-Men's own thing. It had nothing to do with the Marvel MCU.
Well, fair enough. All right, Hugh Jackman holds that title, but these guys are all gonna get the rest of the medals. Let's be honest. And as I said, yeah, and speaking of Wolverine and that side of things, that's another part of it because officially in a year or so, after next year, actually. Fox folds, and the properties that they own, like the X-Men and Fantastic Four, and I think that's all they had left. They revert back to Marvel. So yeah, in 2020 or 2021, we should be seeing the MCU's version of the X-Men and the fourth version of the Fantastic Four at this point.
Yeah, I don't really care because, frankly, I have not seen one iteration of Fantastic Four that I've actually liked. The cartoons all suck. The movies all suck. I've lost complete faith in that franchise. I just have. I'm sure the comics are great. People say the comics are awesome. It's got a huge fan base, but every time they try to put them on screen, they just blow monkeys. And I'm so sick of it.
Maybe it's
those poor monkeys.
Maybe it's an outdated concept, or just maybe one that was never really fully realized,
or that they're just poorly written and poorly acted.
I mean, in
every time.
I've read some Fantastic Four comics, and some were good. I mean, there was definitely a good quality to them, but I do feel like maybe they're just so literary in nature, because I mean, a lot of them is just thinking of like universal problems. Richard's figuring out how to solve world hunger, or like how to connect another universe's power source to something like that. And you got the Human Torch and the Thing beating up crooks here and there, but it's like it's really downplayed for the most part, because they're like the cerebral side of the Marvel universe, But I don't know. I just feel like nobody's cracked down the formula for them to work cinematically. They don't really know what to do with them.
Well, what would be your formula? I mean, if we're talking about another possible failure of a Fantastic Four movie, who would you cast to possibly save it?
All right, if we're gonna start there, let me see. So if the Fantastic,
because I know the main four and Doctor Doom okay enough to kind of say, yeah, I could see that, or no, I couldn't see that. What do you think?
I feel like they might work better as a sort of backdrop in the MCU, not so much as like their own thing, because it's all on them. But when they're like, maybe they're better side characters, the kind like in the comics, they shine better when there's a huge event like Infinity War, and they're like, shit, we need a genius to figure this out. Reed, help us. I will do science.
Well, because he's always a go-to genius.
Yeah.
Whenever people want help, they usually get him or Black Panther or something.
Yeah, and the thing is like, and I'm here to be the muscle guy with a New York accent. Yeah, and like the Human Torch is. I have never liked the Human Torch. I don't really see the whole fascination with him, to be honest.
A part of me wishes that they kept Killmonger alive, so that way he could meet Captain America, so they could both talk about the Human Torch on screen.
Yeah.
No, they had to kill him to get their whole sacrifice, heart of the cards thing across, so he's dead.
I get that he's like the funny one, but it's like, to me, he just seems like the immature one, and that's charming to a degree for a time, and that time is long past. It's like that character never evolved, and
Well, admittedly, I'll be very, very honest. I liked Chris Evans's Johnny Storm, if only it fit. The character is a big raucous ass with, an extreme sports fetish, and yeah, Chris Evans is good at playing something like that. So I thought the character at least fit. It was obnoxious, and I kind of wanted to slap him every now and again, but it fit.
Yeah, after seeing him in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, it was a good fit for him.
Yeah.
That was just hilarious. Mm-hmm. I mean, that cemented his jock douchebag thing, which was good for Johnny, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I love that movie.
And when they were casting Captain America and they announced him, everybody was skeptical. Like, that guy, the douche? I mean, first of all, he already plays a Marvel character, so my fan brain can't process him doing more than that, because God knows he's not an actor, clearly. But, I mean, it's just like, so wait, so because you saw him playing a douche in one movie, that means he can't play the opposite in another? It's like, you get what acting is, right?
I don't know. I mean, I also don't know how the other Johnny Storm played. There's two... to my knowledge, there are two cinematic Johnny Storms. There is Chris Evans, and then there's new kid whose name I don't remember because I didn't bother seeing Fan Four Stick.
You never saw Fan Four Stick, even just for the
Michael B.
sheer horror
Jordan.
of it?
That's his name.
No, because I knew it would be bad, and I wasn't going to give my movie to something that was going to be bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am the anti-Michael Bay. If I know something's going to be stinky, I don't take a whiff.
Yeah, but it's when it's that stinky, aren't you just like even morbidly curious?
I watch it on TV when it comes out for free. If it's that bad.
Oh yeah, no.
If I'm at someone, no. Here's the thing: if I was at my friend's house and my friend had a dog and the dog had his TV on, I might take a look at it then. Maybe. I'd flip a coin first.
Yeah, okay. No, that's fair. To each their own, and I've always complained about the fact that, if you want people like Michael Bay to stop making the movies he's making, don't pay them. Don't go and watch and pay to watch them.
That's why I didn't go watch it. I also didn't want to support anything Jessica Alba's in because P.U. I hate her. She's an affront to acting. I'd rather see a decomposing fish in a dress than Jessica Alba.
I hear you on that, but I mean, she's
decomposing fish in a dress confirmed for Avengers 4.
Yes, the invisible fish. She would be much more compelling. It would be interesting to see how an invisible fish takes down the Lord of Thanos, Kree, Avengers.
But I mean, I'm gonna go with you on that. Like, support the movies you want to support, and if you're not sure, give it a try if you want. But it's like that's all. It always comes down to it. Studios just look at money. If you keep supporting something, it's gonna keep making money, whether it gets good reviews or bad reviews. So keep that in mind.
That's why I didn't go see Fant Four Stick. But because I didn't see Fant Four Stick, I also can't judge any of the actors. I don't know if The Thing was good. I don't know if the Reed Richards was better than Ion Grafud.
I think that...
I actually kind of liked Ion Grafud.
Yeah, I mean, I like the actors. I mean, in terms of, like, I've seen them other stuff where I thought they were good. I mean, I don't think they were good in this, but that's not saying much. I mean, nothing was good in this. But it's... I mean, we can do a session of, like, a whole podcast of just that movie and the horrible behind-the-scenes stuff of it, but... Honest, bottom line, it was a bad movie. I'm sure the actors regret it. Thankfully, Michael B. Jordan found redemption at Marvel as well. Maybe the others will at some point too. I don't know, but I think the...
Wait a minute, so he was the Human Torch?
Yeah. He was the Human Torch.
God, Marvel likes to double dip. Anyway.
Exactly.
Well,
Good Lord, that's 2 times they double dipped actors into whatever cinematic thing they were doing. That's so weird.
I'm pretty sure that was a slap to Fox. Like, we're going to fix what you broke.
It's kind of what that's what they're doing with Deadpool now. The same guy who plays Thanos also plays Cable, so yeah, they're still doing it.
To be fair, that was he was cast.
You know what? It's almost a plot point at this point. Jesus, maybe they're gonna make some joke about how the Magnum Marvel God who controls you all like puppets. I actually made you all look alike. Woo!
Yeah, but bottom line, I think the problem with the Fantastic Four is that nobody's really been able to find an angle for it. They're just sort of like, they're here and they have those powers, and their movies just feel generic. That's the thing. There's no inspiration. There's no angle of like how to exploit this or make it unique. And that's why I think they fail.
Well, not just that,
the whole
but
reason
they've
been making those movies is so they can keep the movie rights. They're not doing it because they love the franchise, but just so they can make more money.
Yeah, but these were
not just that, but the fact that they always want to do an origin story.
Yeah.
Whenever one fails, they always want to rewrite the origin, even though we all know what fucking happened. They went into space, a cloud farted nuclear shit at them, and they got powers.
Yeah,
fuck. We get it, okay? I can buy that. I just do something interesting with them. Don't just give them a few days to oh God, we have powers? We have powers. Do we have powers? We have powers.
Let's dick around and do nothing all day.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Let's light our... Johnny, we'll experiment. You light your farts on fire. Thing, you see how close you can get to dying by drowning yourself in the water, you big fucking rock.
Yeah.
And Sue, you put on this sexy lingerie and I'll see how much of it stays visible while you try to disappear. As for me... I'm going to get an erection that lasts more than 4 hours and lasts over a skyscraper tall.
Yeah,
seriously.
They're movies about nothing, and that's the problem. I mean, they don't understand or like the concept. Almost it feels. Yeah,
well, I don't like the concept. I mean, at least I don't like the way they're telling it. There really is not that complicated way of saying a group of people that got powers. You see shows like that all the time. It just. Build a little mystery, throw them into the situation, isolate them, and see how they deal with it. It's not that hard.
Yeah, and also, I'm going to say it right now, I mean, I feel like this is obvious at this point, but the origin movie is dead, for superheroes anyway. It's like nobody wants to see it anymore. If it's a really, really, really obscure character, maybe, to a degree. But I feel like, even for that...
because we're sick of it. I mean... Anybody who's watching these movies already knows the origins of these guys. You don't have to spoon-feed it to us.
Yeah. I mean, like Captain Marvel next year, sure. That nobody knows that character, and that has such a convoluted story. That sure we can do something with the origins. But I feel like even to do that, you have to do something different. Like Black Panther, it wasn't a straight up origin, but it was worked around, to introduce all of Wakanda and the characters and the backstories and all that stuff. But it was never like on day one, this is how he found the radioactive panther that scratched him and gave him,
Well, I mean, the origin was explained, but not in the way I thought it was going to be.
Exactly.
I'm still surprised beyond belief that they did not show the Panther God. 1 inch of the Panther God, and I'm like, dude, that would have been such a cool thing. But they didn't include that. And, as disappointed as I was, that was pretty ballsy. Because a regular comic book movie would have done that. They would have shown the source of power and been like, This is your destiny, Simba. I mean, T'Challa. Go kill your kind of friend.
Pretty much, but they found ways around it, and even from what I've heard of the Captain Marvel movie, it's going to have a very unique way of introducing her that's not just traditional origin story formula. So, and that's really moving on. Even if you have an unknown character, you have to find a twist. You have to find an angle that's not what we've seen a million times, because who gives a shit at this point? Who wants to see that again?
Nobody wants to watch Uncle Ben get shot once more.
Exactly. Even Amazing Spider-Man knew not to do that. Well, actually, no, they did. What am I talking about? I meant... I meant Marvel, sorry. I meant Homecoming. Yeah, sorry.
Yep.
Here's the thing. Case in point. The one redeeming thing about Man vs. Man: Dawn of Superbad Justice, and there were a few, the one really big good thing, they did not do an origin story for their Batman. They didn't. They just started off with him. He's Batman. He had a Robin. Robin went, Joker's presumably dead, and he's just doing his job. They didn't origin him. They didn't show his mom and dad getting killed in the alley.
Yeah, they did.
He's just there.
They showed
the
very first scene is them showing the parents getting killed.
But there was no 30-minute emphasis on it. Is what I'm saying. It was just there, and then it disappeared.
It was basically a music video at that point, of bridging the.
I'm just they didn't spend the whole first act focusing on Bruce's backstory. They just reminded us who he is, gave us a brief little thing, and that's it. We already know this guy inside and out. We don't need any more.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but I do have to correct you. One thing, the Joker's not dead. He's out there looking for Harley Quinn in a tuxedo with no shirt.
I don't know. Honestly, it was kind of weird how they set that up. It kind of made me think, okay, I know they're showing that the Joker killed Robin, but sometimes they kind of allude to the fact that the Joker might be dead. I don't know. I never know.
No, because
I never know
it's in continuity with Suicide Squad, so that's the Joker. I mean, we hate that that's the Joker, but that is the Joker they got currently, so.
Well, fuck that noise.
Yeah, we'll get.
They recast him.
We'll get to that in a way. We actually sidetracked a little of the original point, but yeah, we were talking about now that the movies are about to change. The actors, and we're going to introduce a whole of the Fox X-Men and Fantastic Four, who are like our picks to replace them, because it is going to happen, whether it's in the Avengers 4 or right after it, it's going to happen. So, let's...
Wait, to replace Captain America, you said?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Evans said he's done after this next movie.
Well, no. Well, here's the thing. I was under the presumption that Cap was going to die and Bucky was going to take over.
Oh, well, that we don't know.
Bucky or Falcon.
I mean, if that's the case...
If I remember correctly, that was the idea originally, is that Chris Evans was going to retire, Cap was going to die, and Bucky was going to be the new Cap.
Anything's possible. We have no idea what's going to happen next week when the movie comes out, or how they're going to leave it. But probably, that's what I would do.
Wait. Next one's just part one, though, right? This movie's just part one. I have to assume it's part one. Come on.
Yes and no. They've stated this is the Thanos movie. This is the culmination of all that, and this is its own thing. This is not a part one, part two thing. There's an Avengers 4.
It's going to be...
Yeah, there's an Avengers 4 that comes right after it, like the next year, but they're saying that's his own thing, building from it, but not like tied to it directly.
Then it's going to be like a 3.5 hour long movie, because Jesus, they're tying up like 8 different movies. So
yeah, pretty much.
God.
Yeah, they confirm it's close to 3 hours. Not 3 hours, but it's like 2:45, I think. Something like that.
You know what? If Pirates 3 can be over 3 hours long, this one can be too.
This one has earned it.
That's right. Pirates was... I forgot. Shit.
It was. Seriously, Pirates 3 was 3 hours long, tying up less than half the stories that this one is tying up. So I don't doubt that this one's going to be relatively that long.
Yeah, I mean, Infinity War is not going to be the final chapter, but it is the final chapter of everything they've built directly, because the whole Thanos thing and all the heroes where they are. This is where, after 10 movies, they finally come together. More than 10 movies, 18.
And all the damn space rocks that we've been collecting for the last 10 years.
Pretty much. MacGuffins, yeah.
Avengers 4, I don't know what it's going to be, but my theory is that Avengers 4 is basically going to be the setup for the reboot, or not the reboot, the recasting, the next step, whatever the next step. This is going to be to like the Civil War, where the status quo changes, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Take it all bets right now. Take it all bets. Who's willing to bet that during this Infinity shit, Thanos isn't going to do some reality warping what's-a-who's it, and then they're going to use that as an excuse to say, this is why you all look different now?
It's possible. I mean, shit.
I would not put it past them.
I think they will. I honestly think they will. They're going to say, like, wow, Thanos' reality fart made us all different. Who are we? Wait a minute, you're not Chris Evans. You're not Robert Downey Jr. What was your name again? All right, Bumblebee Cucumber, that's it. That's right, Bumblebee Cucumber plays Doctor Strange.
I mean,
right?
it's a unique situation because it's like not the entire cast is gonna do that. I mean, like the new Spider-Man is gonna be here for a while, unless shocker they do kill him here and like Miles Morales takes over, or like you said, maybe Steve dies and Bucky is captain, and there's no need to recast like Steve Rogers per se. I mean. It's hard to tell. I mean, some of these actors have been around almost as long. Maybe the guy who plays Bucky, Stan something. I mean, he's been.
I like him.
Yeah, no, I like him, good. But he's been around as long as Chris Evans, almost. So maybe he's like, maybe I'm only going to do 2 more after this. So what's the point of keeping me if I'm just going to leave?
He hasn't gotten nearly as much screen time as Chris Evans.
Yeah, not even close.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, there are so many factors that we can only guess at. But. I think...
And, well, what you were saying, though, I mean, what you said kind of surprised me. I can't imagine why they would kill off Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He's very, very popular.
And they went through a lot of trouble to get Spider-Man in their universe. He's not going anywhere.
I was going to... Or if he is, I mean... I wouldn't mind seeing Miles Morales, because I'll be honest, everybody seems to love that character. I know very little about him. I wouldn't mind seeing him get his own movie, but not at the expense of a Spider-Man I genuinely like. I like Tom Holland. I think he's good.
I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying that it's literally possible. That's all I'm saying. We don't know. I mean, for all I know, Tom Holland's like, all right, I did 3 of these, I'm good, like, bring in Miles Morales, and I mean, because in the comics, that's how it happened. Ultimate Peter Parker dies at that young, when he's like a teenager, and Miles takes over. I mean, so it's plausible even in comic roots. So we don't know.
Maybe
for all we know, half the.
Well, let's say there is a Miles. Who would you want for Miles?
Oh, don't do that to me. I mean, I would have loved Donald Glover if he were younger, but he's playing the uncle. I don't know. That's the kind of character where you really like with Tom Holland. You'll try to find an unknown or somebody who's only doing like 1 or 2.
Hey! Wait a minute. Maybe if he grows up a little, my head is spinning with an idea.
I know who you're going to say. I know exactly who you're going to say.
Yeah, you probably do. Why don't you say his name since you already figured it out?
I'm trying to remember his name, but I know exactly who's you. I'm going to look it up. Hold on.
Really? Who am I thinking of?
I'm going to say his name and you tell me if I'm right, but I am like 90% sure you're going to say this guy. Yeah, here it is. Caleb McLaughlin. Am I saying that right? Caleb McLaughlin?
McLaughlin. I don't know. McLaughlin, whatever. Yeah, that kid. I think he would make a fine Miles Morales when he gets a little older.
I mean, not that much older, honestly. Maybe a year or 2, but by then it will be in 2020.
Well, for God's sakes. How young is Miles Morales? I mean, he looks pretty young in the comics.
Yeah,
he's got to be younger than Peter.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the things. Peter was an adult. Miles was a teenager.
No.
Right.
In the Ultimate continuity, Peter was maybe a year or 2 older than Miles. Not much. So,
okay, so yeah, he's got to have a growth spurt before he can be put in the suit.
Yeah, actually,
that's right. I'm thinking of when Miles went over to the main universe. When he met mainstream Peter Parker, that one was an adult. Yeah, the one in Ultimates was a teenager.
But I feel like the Peter that we're seeing in the Marvel right now, that's like a combination of both. And I mean, maybe some people don't know this, but Peter's sidekick in Homecoming, how do you say his name? The guy in the chair,
Oh, Cherry? Yeah, I don't know.
That guy was actually a character of Miles Morales. He was to what you saw Peter. But he was that to Miles in the comics, so they literally just people really like that character for Miles. Let's just give that to Peter, So it's one of those things that makes me think that it's possible that Miles is going to be sooner than later. But
however that works, I do genuinely think that kid would do well because A, he's a smart ass, B, he's very smart, and C, he's an adventurous little fella. So he's got all those qualities down, and from what I understand, Miles is very much that way too.
Yeah. So I mean, you know what? If they do bring Miles, I support that choice. I mean, in 2-3 years, whenever they do that, I think by then he'll be old enough and good enough. More than certainly. And
plus, he's a good child actor. Don't waste that.
Those are always hard to come by.
So rare.
If they keep Tom Holland
unicorn
Peter, a bit longer, I'm also okay with that. Like you said, he's definitely earned it. And Peter's not the one that I'm most concerned of for surviving or dying right now. I mean, I'm just saying it's very possible that he might be one. But Yeah, I mean, we're talking about like the big three. You know, Robert is done after this or the fourth one. Literally, Chris Evans confirmed it.
And honestly, I'm okay. As much as I love Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, I'll be honest, I don't want to see it like over and over and over again. You know, I think he should go off on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like that would definitely signal the end of an era because he's literally how they got started.
Yeah, I mean,
and he's still the most popular character in the whole franchise. So fuck, you know, let him go out with a bang.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know, I think I mean it's different. Like when they started doing the Batman movies, they immediately recasted Michael Keaton with Val Kilmer, and then immediately with George Clooney, and then you know we got the Dark Knight trilogy, which was its own thing. So I'm glad they kept Christian Bale through it. But the point is, these were all like it was a different time, and then none of these actors had committed to a character for that long until Hugh Jackman. And it's like even now, it's almost sacrilegious to think of a new actor doing Wolverine, but we know it's going to happen. But at least...
I don't know about that. I think Hugh Jackman did a fine job, and I loved his exit. His exit was beautiful. That was the perfect way to end Wolverine. That Wolverine's journey.
Exactly. You said it right there. That Wolverine. Because, I mean, the others I was talking about, those were in the same continuity, but they kept changing the actor and just pretending like it was like, oh, yeah, no, it's always been George Clooney. Oh, no, it was always Val Kilmer. Oh, no, it was... Right. You know, this is different. This is... They're not rebooting the MCU. This is too successful. The stories have been too connected well. I feel like, I don't think they should recast the character of Tony Stark. I feel like either he dies or he retires or whatever, but it ends with Robert Downey Jr. That's what I would prefer.
No, I agree. If Robert's not gonna be a part of it anymore, then they shouldn't have Iron Man be a part of it anymore. You know?
Yeah. If they want to create a new character, like I think they did that recently in the comics to varying success, but that becomes a new Iron Man, but he's not.
Oh yeah, Riri Williams.
Yeah, I haven't read the comics, but
basically she just came out of nowhere, and she did not interact with Tony at all in the comics. Like not until after Civil War II, where Tony was in a coma and he got his consciousness was downloaded into a computer. Like, it's not since then that they've interacted, and that's what everyone hated, because a sidekick should spend time with their mentor before the mantle is passed.
I mean,
all they need to do is a few hours of community service, get a few merit badges, and they're on the case.
Yeah.
They're a different case, but I do agree from what I've read that this one wasn't earned, even if they were going to do the way they did it. But, I feel like...
Like an example of that, when Batman... In the DC Comics, when Batman supposedly died, Dick Grayson took up the mantle, and nobody questioned it because he's been with Batman the longest. He was the original Robin.
But then that didn't happen.
Yeah, they immediately brought Bruce back.
Yeah, because everyone
not immediately. We had like 2 years of good stories with that, which I treasure.
But they did chicken out eventually. Yeah. They did go back.
He wasn't killed. He was just sent back in time.
Yep, and Superman was just in a coma.
Yeah, we talked about it for a long time. I think in the previous podcast about the whole nothing sticks to comics anymore. It's like, oh, you kill the character, he's coming back next year. Oh, this guy's evil now.
Well,
of course.
No, that's an ultimate rule of fiction is that no one is ever killed off. You know, even in a show like As Told by Ginger, no one is ever dead permanently. They'll always find a way to bring them back.
Pretty much, and it's maybe the thing is it wasn't that bad before. Like when they killed Superman, he stayed dead for a good while, and then they brought him back, and it was a surprise. But that was the first time they did it. Now they kill characters, especially Marvel. Marvel does it a lot more than DC. I've noticed. They kill characters as the event of the week, and then a month later it's like, oh no, he wasn't dead. He was just paralyzed, and they was sleeping somewhere. I don't know. They don't even care anymore about their own stories. It feels, obviously there are exceptions.
Well, remember when Jean was supposed to die from X-Men 2, X-Men United, and then they were gonna kill her, but no, she was wrapped in a cocoon of psychic energy. No. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That one was planned that way.
Don't judge me, Logan. I know what I said.
You can tell they were aiming to do the whole setup for Phoenix. They just fucked it up. But.
Yeah, but one thing I love so much is that at the very end of that movie, she was flaring up. She did her little Phoenix thing in the water. We saw the Firebird. But then in the next one, it's like, were you just dancing for a minute? Did you just feel like lighting yourself on fire and dancing around for a minute, then going back in the cocoon of psychic energy? Because that's where they found you. I'm sorry. That's just I always found that funny. I know I know how she reappears, but I'm sorry. Just the way they ended in that movie, and then it's just like, oh wait a minute. I guess she stopped being a bird for for however long she was in the water. I don't know. It just always kind of stuck with me.
No, I mean...
Speaking of which, if they do reboot the X-Men, which, is likely, I mean, Jackman's not coming back, I do hope they get better actors than Jean.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, well, they're going to recast them, because, I mean, the current X-Men movies already have, like, the younger cast they introduced in Apocalypse, and it's pretty much...
Of course.
It's pretty much confirmed that, this upcoming one next year, the Phoenix one, they're going to redo Phoenix, speaking of it, yeah. They moved it...
I should hope so, because...
Yeah, it was going to come at the end of this year, but they moved it to next year, because you can tell that they're finalizing, like, we're just going to throw all our final cards out there, and people will watch it, and that's it. That's the end of X-Men as you know it.
Yeah. Well, as long as they get a better actress than the one who played Jean, because she sucked a mighty coxicle, and I hate her.
You know what I want, and this is an Orthodox take, but hopefully I think they need an Orthodox right now. I don't want them to...
I'd like Halle Berry to stay far away from it.
I'm pretty sure she will, don't worry.
Good.
But I don't want them to cast younger. I know that's the instinct, so they can keep doing franchise movies forever. But it's like I want to see them cast older X-Men. I don't know how that would work, but I just
right. Thank you for saying that. I am so sick of euthanization. I know that you're trying to appeal to the younger demographic, guys, but fuck you. You can have older characters.
It's not even...
God,
yeah, it's not even...
I am so sick of adult characters becoming teenagers and kids. It's just so done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's less the whole appealing to kids so much as, like, we need these guys to be around for 8 movies, so the younger they are, the more they can do. But
I think it's a little of both, honestly.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to, they could recast. I honestly think they're just trying to appeal to younger kids.
Probably a bit of both, but yeah, I know what you mean. It's frustrating. And, I mean, with the current X-Men movies, the last two, I get it because these are set in the past, and it's like a prequels to, like, 19 years of movies. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, I don't know. Movies that take place in the past, that makes total sense to do that. But... man, if you're going to reboot it in a timeline where they're all adults, make them adults. Don't just make them kids because you want to remake a pup named Scooby-Doo. Fuck. I don't want to see a tiny version of Jean Grey or a geeky teen Cyclops or whatever the hell Morph was as a kid.
You don't want to see X-Men Evolution.
I liked X-Men Evolution, but that's because even though they were teens, they were very older looking. I mean, come on, they look like men and women. They did not look like kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what they'll end up doing with it, but their track record is using adults. I mean, Peter was literally the first non-adult hero they've had. Not counting maybe.
But that makes sense.
Yeah,
for
Peter started out as a teenager when he was Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense. Peter started off in high school, and then he moved on to web slinging.
Oh, you know what would be the worst? Teen Wolverine.
Wolverine.
I do not want to see that. Even the opening scene of the Origins movie when he was a kid, it was like, that felt wrong. It's like, I don't feel like we should be seeing Wolverine.
That was wrong.
Not wearing like a beard.
That whole movie was wrong. Don't speak of it. We don't speak of that god-awful abomination.
Yeah, but I do hope the cast
yes, I agree with you.
At least early 30s. I mean, come on, something.
I mean, no, but I'm with you. I don't want to see Wolverine. Thank you, goodbye, no.
Yeah.
I don't want this.
No. And if I was going to cast... All right, let's start throwing some names. I do have one for the top 3.
Well, the good thing about X-Men is that they've got so many fucking mutants. There's literally every mutant has a perfect actor somewhere. Just name them.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, we'll never top, what's his name? Patrick Stewart as Professor X. That's definitely just...
No, there's no way to beat that. Unless it's Bryan Cranston, it's just... No,
I don't think...
I mean, come on. Tell me you can't see him... Tell me you can't see Walter White wheeling himself around, barking orders and saying you're dumb.
X-Men,
I can totally
we need to
see
cook.
that.
Well, I mean, my choice...
Meth men! It's right, that's how you get their powers. They smoke some bad meth. Anyway, though, back to seriousness. If I can be real, I really liked Fassbender's Magneto, so I could totally see him reprising the role.
I doubt
wouldn't mind that at all.
I doubt they'll keep any of them, but maybe.
I doubt it. I doubt it too. But you know what? I wouldn't mind at all. Slap some old makeup on that guy. I liked his Magneto. I did. Not perfect, but I liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, I like him and McAvoy as the iconic two characters. You know, I mean, I wouldn't mind them sticking around, but at the same time, I'm ready to move on to whatever the next step is. Hopefully it's a good one.
I definitely want a crusty. I definitely would prefer a crusty Magneto. It's one of the reasons I loved Ian McKellen's Magneto. He's old. He's seasoned. He's seen a lot of the world. He's world weary. He's got a reason to hate humans. He's seen enough of their bad side for decades. So yeah, I'd like an older man to play Magneto, definitely.
Would Ron Perlman be a good Magneto? Like, he always does good villains. I'm just wondering if we could see him doing a live-action take on Magneto.
Honestly,
I want Ron Perlman in the cinematic universe.
I feel like maybe...
I agree with you, but not Magneto. You know what? I want Ron Perlman as Juggernaut. Yes, I want Ron Perlman to play Juggernaut. Tell me you can't see that.
Well, with special
He's a big, imposing, impenetrable guy. I could totally see Ron Juggernaut.
You know what? With special effects, that could work.
Hell yeah. Honestly, yeah. It's got, I mean, for God's sake, they let that Juggernaut bitch guy do it, and that guy's just ridiculous.
I doubt he'll do it because he's about to reach 70. I think he's a little too old to be stomping about.
Oh, I know he's not going. This is fantasy. I'm talking about what I'd like to see. I mean, that'd be awesome.
A younger Ron Perlman would have been glorious.
Yes, it would have. I would very much like to see that. But no, I do think Ron is going to stick a lot to voiceover work these days.
My top two choices for the iconic characters there. For Professor X, my first choice would definitely be Kenneth Branagh.
I could see that.
I like him,
I mean, yeah. Everybody likes Kenneth Branagh. He's Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, like he
or
has
you
a
know
very
what?
grandiose
You know what? If not,
feel to it, and very, very cerebral, and I think he can be very charming.
You know what though? If not him, Kevin Kline. I think Kevin Kline would make a good Xavier. He's disciplined. He is intelligent. He has a very, very intelligent way of speaking. He's a classy, sophisticate. He knows when to, when he sounds rough, he can get rough, and the dude can be funny as hell.
Yeah.
I have a different Kevin in mind. I want Kevin Kline.
I mean, both Kevins.
That would be nice to see.
I can see both Kevins.
Either Kevins would do good.
The Kevins.
Yeah, either Kevin would do fine. Either Kevin would do fine at taking on Professor X. Both K's would be good X's.
Yeah. Do you have a pick, Anthony?
For Professor X? No, I haven't really picked out a pick for him.
Very well. For Magneto, my pick, I'm going to go with Stephen Lang.
Stephen Lang. Remind me, because that name sounds familiar. Oh, wait. Is he the Avatar guy?
Yeah, the general guy in Avatar.
I know that movie is not the best.
I wanted him to be Cable.
Yeah.
He would have been a great cast for Cable.
Everybody wanted him to be Cable.
Since we couldn't get him as Cable, I could almost see him as a very, like you said, a very crusty, grizzled Magneto, just pissed off at humans,
Yeah, I guess. Though, I don't know. It's just, as long as he doesn't do his typical war veteran routine, because Magneto is not a soldier. He's a wounded. He is a wounded fighter, but he's not a soldier. He's not military.
He's a Holocaust survivor.
Exactly. Yeah, he is a survivor. He's not a soldier though. So I guess as long as he doesn't bring his "I'm a general, fuckers," routine to the mix.
I've seen him do more like dramatic work outside of Avatar. Believe me, I think he can bring it in a very he's very good at playing wounded, like you said. I've seen him play these damaged characters, and I think Magneto. Definitely has a lot of damage, from all his experience.
Well, like I said, as long as he doesn't bring his "I'm a soldier" routine, I guess I'd be okay with that. Personally, if I had to cast my say for a good Magneto, I'd want someone with a thick accent. I'd want someone who sounds like he comes from that part of the world, Because as much as I love Ian McKellen, he's British, so it's kind of weird seeing a British guy play what I think is a Polak. I think isn't Magneto a Polak?
He was in Poland.
Yeah, I believe he was in Poland when they came and took his family.
Right.
So his roots are probably...
Yeah, I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved McKellen's Magneto, but I mean, I would actually be interested to see Magneto with an actual accent. Like, you know how Jason's always talking about how he wants Doctor Doom with an accent, a proper accent, not a British one? That's kind of what I want for Magneto. I want Magneto to have whatever a good Polish accent would be. That way it would be indicative of where he came from, which was the Holocaust, and who did they invade first? You know?
Yeah, I get that's very valid. I mean, wanting that authenticity and it doesn't necessarily have to be an actor from Poland, but I get what you're saying. I mean, like her daughter.
No, just as long as someone just bring an accent to it.
His daughter, the Scarlet Witch, is played with that accent, but the actress is American, so it's like.
Yeah, but you know how I feel about that backstory they gave him.
I'm just talking about the performance, not the backstory of Josh Whedon.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with how she looked or how she sounded. It's just the background that sucked.
Yeah, that's another thing that's probably going to change when the X-Men become part of it. Just like because they basically use the Inhumans, and the whole enhanced shit as a replacement. Because,
oh yeah.
So now they're going to be like,
They were setting it up for Inhumans to take the place of mutants, but since they have the rights back, that's going down the drain.
Yeah, that never took off.
Yeah.
I mean, the Inhumans show is the worst
Plus,
thing Marvel has done.
Inhumans isn't nearly as catchy as mutants. Come on, they're never going to let that drop.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't. Mutants is too good of a word.
Neither are they as cool as, just iconic as... The X-Men have years to back them up. I mean, even in their worst, they still kick the ass of all the Inhumans and that, whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I'm pretty sure the Inhumans will disappear or at least become a tiny speck that nobody cares. The mutants will take their rightful places. Well, mutants.
Well, unless maybe if they jazzied up the word, like instead of Inhumans, Inhumanoids, we're somehow better than the X-Men. Inhumanoids. You're not buying this, are you? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, you know what? If they did a 90s style cartoon as good as the X-Men one, maybe they'd have some backing to it, but...
Inhumanoids, Saturdays at night. Oh, wait, there's no such thing as Saturday morning cartoons anymore. Never mind. I forgot we're not in the 90s anymore.
Yeah. Inhumanoids on iTunes now.
Yeah, or Netflix. Netflix is Inhumanoids. It's not X-Men, but you'll still watch it.
Because you watch everything else.
Yeah. How was season 2 of Lemony Snicket's? I didn't watch it. Anyway.
No, but I hear you.
But while we're talking about more X-Men, there's a billion characters. I mean, who would... You know what? I want a new Toad. I want Toad to make another reappearance, because as far as my knowledge, he only got the one role in that one movie fucking 18 years ago. So, I want a new Toad. Who would make a good Toad? Who's slimy? Who's creepy? Who's crawly? Who's a pervert?
The thing is,
you just described half of Hollywood right there.
Ow! No, but really.
Shots fired.
Let's see. What actor do I know that would make a good, creepy, kooky, mysterious, spooky, green, jumping, tongue-lashing, Gene Simmonsing mutant?
The thing is,
it's a tough choice.
It's hard to say how they're going to cast them, but if we're looking for people over 30,
Oh, Steve Buscemi. Get Steve Buscemi to be Toad.
Oh. Steve Buscemi is Toad? I mean, I'll grant you he does look like a frog, but God, I mean, stereotyping much? I mean, his big bulgy eyes, his giant mouth when it's opened and displayed.
I hate that I like that.
The fact that Steve Buscemi as Toad. God, now I can't unsee it. I'm picturing him with green skin and a Gene Simmons tongue, and now it's in there forever. Steve Buscemi.
Put that idea in your head, Paul.
Yeah, and if he was a little younger, I think he should totally do it. Because his eyes do bulge out like nobody's business. Yeah, okay. We'll put a pin in that. Steve Buscemi Toad.
He goes into the maybe pile.
Yeah. I also want a decent actress to play Emma Frost, because I despise the last two we got. I hated them with all my heart.
They were not good for the character at all.
Yeah, one of them was a total... one of them was just a sidekick secretary for Kevin Bacon mutant, and I hated her guts so much. She was just there to look pretty and make dumb quips that made no sense. And then The Frost before her was a part of that movie we don't speak of, so that doesn't even exist, and neither does she. She's gone. So who would make a good Emma Frost? We need a effective, blonde, stern-faced chick who can morph her skin into diamonds. What do we got?
Who was that one girl in Fast and the Furious? Charlize
Theron?
Charlize Theron?
Yeah.
Dude, Charlize Theron is good in everything ever. She is awesome.
She can play whatever she wants.
You know what? God damn it, that is good. I would totally buy Charlize Theron as a mutant.
You are killing it.
Absolutely. You know what? Good call. I love Charlize Theron, and I think that, and she's, she's not some prancy little, 20-something. She's got experience. Damn it, I like that idea.
Yeah, 2 for 2.
Yes, I like that. I like Charlize Theron as that. I mean, Steve Buscemi Toad is funny, but no, I actually buy Charlize Theron as Emma Frost. I like that. Keep going. Keep going. Let's find something else.
Since we're doing the Brotherhood, apparently. I mean, we did Magneto, Emma Frost, Toad. Next on that list is...
The Brotherhood are fun.
So what?
Said the Brotherhood's more fun. It's always more fun to cast.
Yeah, bad guys are great characters.
The next member of the Brotherhood, then, is the Blob.
Oh,
the Blob.
Good luck.
Well, John Goodman's acting again. I'm saying, John Goodman's acting again. He reprised his role as Roseanne. He reprised his role both as Roseanne and her husband. So, maybe he'd be willing to lose a little weight for the Blob role. I don't know.
I don't think he
give himself the mohawk haircut and...
Wait a minute. Blob is a big, disgusting creature, right? He's a big, morbidly obese, and rather unpleasant-looking guy, right?
Sure.
Yeah. You can't hurt him because he's invulnerable, and he's also fat.
Right. The blubber absorbs the blows. We need a big, fat, obnoxious comedian who nobody likes, who nobody would miss if killed.
I feel like I know where you're going, and wow. If I had to say a pick, and I feel like this is counterintuitive, but I keep thinking of Paul Giamatti for some reason.
Paul Giamatti? He's not fat.
Oh.
That's what fat suits are for.
And also, I like him. I like Paul Giamatti, and he's not fat. Screw you. Pick someone else.
He can wear a fat suit. I just feel like he could be good for that sort of
I want to know how you came to that conclusion. How did you get Paul Giamatti to play Blob?
I don't know. It just kept coming to me.
You can see Paul Giamatti going like this. The time is over, Wolverine.
Paul Giamatti's Marvel Dream role was the Rhino, which is not that much different, and he got to play it sort of.
The Rhino was a robot suit in that movie.
I was gonna say that was a mech suit. He wasn't fat.
No, but he
wasn't a big.
He wanted to play it straight. I think they just Paul, you would look ridiculous.
Okay, but I mean, we all knew that they weren't gonna do that. They want to be cool, and mech suits are cool. Okay, well, anyway, I guess I can see where you came to that. But moving on to a serious pick for Blob. If it can't be John Goodman, then there's only one other alternative. We have to find a way to resurrect Chris Farley and get him on the set.
It doesn't have to be a fat actor, Paul. I mean,
get the CG. Just make a CGI version of his character like they're doing in Star Wars.
I mean, yeah, I guess you can make anybody fat, but I just think for authenticity's sake, it wouldn't be bad if the actor were fat. Fuck, I mean, any fat person can play them as long as they have the heart of the Blob.
You know what would have been perfect, actually? He died, but, Philip Seymour Hoffman would have been great for that.
He was a little old, but I see where you're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Oh, wait a minute! Rebel Wilson! She could be Blob! Yes! Perfect! Rebel Wilson could play Blob. We're going to gender bend a little bit, and I hate Rebel Wilson, so yeah, make her Blob. Let's see. Who else? As long as we're casting here. Okay, so far we have Steve Buscemi as Toad. We have Charlize Theron as Emma Frost. Rebel Wilson as Blob. And who do we got? I want to ask: Is Avalanche a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Or is that just an evolution?
Yeah, Avalanche is a member of the Brotherhood. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait! I think I got it. George, I think I got it. Jonah Hill, that's his name. Sorry.
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill is the Blob.
My God. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's even better than Rebel Wilson.
Yeah, I had it.
Yeah, put that turd in a fatter suit and put him on stage. Oh my God. I would love to see him get kicked around by the X-Men. Absolutely. You know what?
Yeah, that's our new Blob.
Yes, Jonah Hill as the Blob. That's, yeah. You know what? I rescind my Rebel Wilson vote. Yes.
Jonah Hill is more
kick his shit in front
more
of him.
deserving and undeserving at the same time.
Yep. Plus, I just think he gets the heart of the character in that he's big, disgusting, and obnoxious. So, yeah.
I think he has the literal heart of the character and the same problems.
Yeah, he has the same heart attacks as the character. The same... I don't know. He just has a certain blobness to him.
Yeah, that's fair.
He has blobness.
Are we doing Avalanche or Pyro?
Oh yeah, Avalanche and Pyro.
Actually,
I think
you know
are
what?
the only
Let's do Avalanche then Pyro. Avalanche, well, he's kind of a bad boy, so I don't know. Any actor ever? Jeez, if you were still a young buck, I'd say Tom Cruise, but he's not anymore. So,
the one that comes to mind, what's his name? This is kind of like okay pick, but. The guy from Lost, what's his name?
Oh, you're thinking, wait, which one? Jack or Sawyer?
I only watched the first season, but I was trying to remember. Matthew Fox, what was his character's name?
That was Jack.
Jack, yeah. Matthew Fox, I think, would be
and
a good
again,
Avalanche.
he's a little too old for the role now. I mean, the dude's not exactly young anymore, and Avalanche's character is he's a young punk, so you kind of need an ass.
Okay, you know what? I got one. Matt Bomer.
Was he in?
He was in Nice Guys. He played one of the villains. He's most famous for, I think, Magic Mike. I think he was in Magic Mike, if I recall.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're meant to hate Avalanche, so yeah, I'll go ahead and give him a pass.
Well, another option if you really want to keep it to the bad boys, and if we're teaming Jonah Hill in there, how about Channing Tatum?
Oh my God!
You know what? I can see that. Yeah. A dumbass pretty boy.
Channing Tatum has to follow, so yeah.
Yeah, a dumbass pretty boy who won't shut up and is constantly making... Yeah, you know what? I can see that. Okay, Channing Tatum is Avalanche. That's good. Okay.
All right. And,
yeah, okay.
just to complete this trifecta of douchiness,
we need a Pyro.
Yeah, for Pyro. To complete the trifecta of douche, I want to nominate James Franco for Pyro, because fuck... Talk about a burning turd, man.
You know what? I can buy that too for 3 reasons. One, he's a severe overactor, so whenever he gets flamey and angry, I can totally see him going, "Ah!" with fire around him.
Burning everything around him, yeah.
Reason 2, it would contribute to Marvel's ever-growing popularity of double-dipping characters, and he was green, he was Hobgoblin, so yeah, I can buy that. And then 3, I just... want to see him get his ass... Again, just like Jonah Hill, I want to see him get his ass kicked by X-Men. So, yeah. You know what? Put James Franco on fire. I'm good with that.
I feel like this is maybe not the best Brotherhood, but the one we want to see beaten the most.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's a Brotherhood. It's a Brotherhood that we're not going to get because they're going to cast a bunch of actors we don't want, and none of them are going to be Steve Buscemi, Charlize Theron, or James Franco.
Like we like the actors for Emma and Magneto, so those are in charge, and it feels like we're going to like the other 3 who are much like the henchmen, getting beaten and probably berated by Magneto. Failed me for the last time, Steve Buscemi.
Toad! Just fuck off.
Yeah, Jonah Hill, Blob, what's the difference? Just go away, man.
Jonah Blob, size of a hill, go on a diet, and stop appearing in comedies that have nothing to do with you. We all saw Superbad and we regret it.
Now, is there a role for the brother?
Charlize Theron, you're doing good.
Is there a role in the Brotherhood?
What you're doing.
Paul, is there another role in the Brotherhood we missed? Because I feel like we gotta get Seth Rogen in there. Just.
Well, I guess Seth Rogen could play Mystique, but that would be a little awkward. Hey, Eric, hurry!
Still better than Jennifer Lawrence.
Yep. You know what? Seth Rogen as Mystique is still better than Jennifer Lawrence.
Man.
You know what? I endorse it. Seth Rogen as Mystique.
I was going to say Quicksilver, but that's
dub
better.
all of Mystique's lines in the X-Men movies with Seth Rogen audio.
Yeah. No. I already have a choice for Quicksilver. I want the guy who played the Wizard to be Quicksilver. That's who I want.
The guy who played the Wizard?
Oh, yeah, from the Jessica Jones show.
Yeah. For those of you who are unaware, Wizard is a character from Jessica Jones who's this speedy fat guy who is just adorable. And if they didn't kill him, I'd say cast him as another speedster. So, yeah. So, just to sum it up, we have Steve Buscemi as Toad, award-winning actress Charlize Theron as Emma Frost, Channing Tatum, also known as the guy who ruined G.I. Joe, as Avalanche, Jonah Hill as the Blob, Seth Rogen as the Minxie Femme Fatale Mystique. Way to go, Seth. And, let's see. Who else did we say? Who else am I forgetting?
James Franco as Pyro.
Oh, yes. James Franco as Pyro. And that's our motley crew.
Yeah, I mean...
It's our dream evil team.
Admittedly, this is not a team you will ever root for or feel conflicted about or feel like it's balanced, but you will enjoy them getting the shit kicked out of you.
That's why we do this. Unfortunately, though, like a lot of Hollywood things, it ain't gonna happen. And on that note, there are simply way too many Marvel characters. Millions and billions, we're never gonna get the actors. So, let's just cut our losses here and be happy with the Brotherhood we've chosen. For now, I'm gonna say goodbye and just watch more Marvel movies on Netflix until Infinity Gauntlet comes out.
You know, we're gonna probably do like a recurring thing with this now and then. We'll do another fan casting episode at a later date, and maybe by then we'll have a better idea of where things are going. But yeah, this has been fun, I think.
Anyway, for now, I'm your host, Starbeast Funk, and these are my friends, Lake Funk, and Demon Grocery Funk. I just like saying funk right now.
Funky.
Have a good one, everybody, and don't let Marvel get you down.
Indeed. So make sure to like, subscribe, follow us, and watch Frontier Zero and all our other projects as always. And next week, we'll probably be doing a review of Infinity War and see where things go. Thank you, and good night.
Bye-bye, y'all.